But we're going to begin in the Middle East, where White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is in Tel Aviv meeting with Israeli leaders.
In a meeting today, Israel's defense minister told him the country plans to expand its operations in Rafah as it seeks the return of several hostages who are still being held by Hamas.
That defense minister, Yoav Gallant, is one of multiple Middle Eastern leaders now being targeted by the International Court for alleged war crimes. The ICC also seeking arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and putting him on the same plane, Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. After Sullivan met with the Saudi Crown Prince over the weekend, these apparent warrants landed. A U.S. official confirmed that they've made significant progress, meanwhile, on forging a bilateral agreement.
CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tyab is in Jerusalem. Imtiaz, will arrest warrants actually be issued for those named by the International Criminal Court, like Netanyahu and Sinwar?
Lilia, Tony, good to be with you. And that's a very good, important question. And the short answer is not necessarily. The way this works is the application for the warrants will now go to one of the pre-trial chambers in the ICC and will be decided on by a panel of 3 judges who currently come from countries like Romania, Benin, and Mexico. Now, to be clear, and again, this is not a foregone conclusion that they will approve all of the ICC Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan's requests. But legal scholars do point out that the threshold of evidence for a warrant at the ICC is just reasonable grounds to believe rather than beyond a reasonable doubt, which, of course, is the standard for conviction at other trials. Now, legal analysts also add that these prosecutors are very clearly do not want to mess this up, especially such an important case that so many people are looking at. So many do believe that the judges will agree on the warrants. However, a huge amount of global political pressure is likely to descend on those 3 judges in the days to come.
And as you said, Imtiaz, this is not just an important case, it's historic. It's the first time the ICC has targeted the top leader of a close U.S. ally. How have responses been so far, especially in the West?
Yeah, look, if these warrants are issued by the ICC, it will be one of the most consequential moments in its history since it was established in 2002, because it is the first time it will have sought to hold a close ally of the West, specifically the U.S., to account. Now, in his statement, Mr. Khan made a point of saying, and I'm quoting here, international law and the laws of armed conflict apply to all. But let's be clear, Israel and its supporters are already furious at this, and most consequentially, House Republicans in the U.S. will likely pursue sanctions against members of the ICC if this goes forward. In fact, a group of a dozen or so Republican senators wrote a letter to Khan earlier this month warning his office at the ICC against just this, and they wrote, and again, I'm quoting here, "Target Israel, and we will target you."
Yeah, there are a lot of big questions here. I mean, the International Criminal Court does not count as a party state. The United States, Israel, China, Iran, India. I mean, the credibility of the court is already in question, lacking that kind of support. And now there's this, putting Israeli leaders in the same category as what the U.S. considers to be the leaders of a terror group. It's definitely a questionable decision. One thing I think a lot of people are watching here, I'd love to get your reporting on, is this potential deal with Saudi Arabia where normalization would happen with Israel and maybe there'd be support for a Palestinian state. I think a lot of people are rooting for this as kind of a Hail Mary solution to the conflict there.
Yeah, in fact, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was here in Israel. He met with Prime Minister Netanyahu just yesterday, again, to pressure him to accept a political solution to the war in Gaza. That, as you say, Tony, would lead to a regional deal with Saudi Arabia, the Middle East's most powerful country. Now, this is one of the Biden administration's top goals, and it revolves around an ambitious 3-way agreement that would involve the security agreement between between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, a normalization of diplomatic relations between the Saudis and Israel, and peace between Israelis and Palestinians, leading to an independent Palestinian state. But Mr. Netanyahu has made it clear time and again he is opposed to a Palestinian state, something the extremists in his far-right coalition government are also opposed to. So it seems for now that this prize that the Biden administration is very, very, very interested in seems a very long way off and potentially impossible with this current Israeli government.
Yeah,
Tony.
Netanyahu's time may be short as well, and it is a Hail Mary, but a lot of people are rooting for it. Peace can come out of catastrophe, and we've definitely seen catastrophe on both sides. Imtiaz Tyab, thank you.